Caden?
What? Brian.
Boom! And just like that, it was cancelled. Yes. Cult of Hero Brian, at least that timeline, is cancelled. Alright guys, let me take a minute to explain what I mean by that statement. If you haven't watched already, I recommend you going back and watching all of my haunted videos before you watch this video, because none of this will make sense and it'll also have a lot of spoilers. So, spoiler warning. This is going to be a video of me highlighting some key points in the story, and also getting you updated on what is going on in the haunted world. Okay guys, to sum things up, all this started with me and Sensei. The story begins with two best friends arriving at a big city, which to this day is unidentified and unknown. The two friends notice a sign saying there's a house for sale and that it could be claimed by depositing 5 diamonds into a chest. That being said, the two friends decided to purchase the house and they go inside to check it out. They soon notice this isn't any ordinary house. This house is very old and clearly made before their time. The two friends still settled and decided to buy it. Later that night, the boys find a basement that they didn't notice. In this basement was an extremely long staircase leading down somewhere. Caden and Sensei decide to go down, and to their surprise, they find something they're desperately in need for which in this case is money. Pure diamonds. The boys take the opportunity to themselves to claim them diamonds. I mean, who wouldn't? You know? The diamonds, they mine them. This was a mistake. Two boys didn't really notice, but there was another hallway in front of them. This hallway was so dark, like so dark to the point where it was almost reaching at you. The two best friends began to feel a little uneasy about going down the hallway, but they weren't giving up after what they just found. They proceed on down the hallway, and that's when everything went wrong. The two boys fell into what is known as the void, or the aether. That being said, this completely wiped their memory from any past memories. Gone. Completely wiped from this planet. I mean, you may be asking yourself, Epic, why the hell did mining these diamonds have such a bad effect on them? Well, you see, what they didn't know at the time when they mined them diamonds was those diamonds were highly enchanted by a very, very evil being. That wasn't human. It was a demon. Hero Brian. He then latched his soul and all of his energy onto the two boys, tormenting them for the rest of their entire life. For eternal purgatory. Forever. Never ending. This marks the beginning of our story, so let's get on to the middle. Really fast though guys, I want to make something clear about this series. Throughout my series, there will be a lot of events that may be very confusing and might not make sense, but I will try my best to explain them in this video. My team has spent a lot of time on this shit, so it's very in-depth, and really the only people who understand it is us. So brace yourself. I don't want to get into too much detail in the first season because it wasn't very high quality, but I will say that it does have some important factors. The first episode is just the pilot. It had no plot. I want to say that right now. It had no plot. It wasn't planned. It was all improv. So we didn't know where we were going. We didn't know what we were really going for. But to sum it up really quick, basically, Caden and Sensei get thrown into this alternate dimension where they find this person named Ruth. Ruth is an archaeologist. This is really important because our characters don't really know about any ancient artifacts or things they might discover along the way. So her being with us actually is really beneficial. Well, not anymore, because that shit is done and over with. Me and her broke up, but yeah. So this video is just to clear things up, like I said. So let's continue. So we meet Ruth and we get attacked by Herobrine in the process. Well, we run away, and like I said, it's kind of stupid. There's no plot. We run away, and it teleports you. So it didn't really make sense. We just kind of teleported to some random place. We didn't really know what to do, so we're just like, fuck it, let's just teleport to some random village. so actually in in the episode, you were just like at some random village. But basically, we get thrown back in time, and it's just the story gets crazy because you get thrown back in time all the way back to like I think 1312 or something. Anyways, our characters are like, what the hell is going on? Why the hell are we over here in the medieval times? Why is there zombies? Why is there a bunch of sick people with the freaking plague? Oh my god. They don't know what the hell is going on. They're so confused. They're looking for a cause. They're just walking around exploring, basically. That's honestly how it's summed up, guys. I'm not even playing. I know this video started off really serious, but that's honestly how it began. This is how it began, and then it kind of got super serious. So in the beginning it was kind of like a joke, but then it turned into something like, holy shit, we can actually make something really, really cool out of this. So we just like kind of built off of what we had because we didn't really have much, you know? But with that being said, let's continue. As they're exploring this medieval wasteland, they discover this town called Dunbar. In this town there's a witchery circle, and they use that witchery circle to teleport somewhere. Our characters didn't really know where we were getting teleported, but that place was a futuristic city, aka Night City, Cyberpunk. It was a little reference I did. You get teleported into the year 2077, and I was there a year apparently. So they didn't know I was there for a year. They thought that they just teleported, they walk right through. It's the same, time period. No, it's completely different. Completely different. It's a year later, and they're like, what's going on, And that's when I explained to them I'm being hunted, and I have a bounty on my head, and we have to get out of there as soon as possible. And we do. We find another portal. Now this other portal really sets off the storyline and is frankly where everything got it kicked off in my opinion. So let's get into it. Season 1, Episode 4. This is where we currently are in the video. Boom, we're teleported again. This time we're at our childhood house. Mind you, our characters are under very high stress after the situation and are very, very confused. Kaden begins to notice that this place looks oddly too familiar. Sensei as well. They both comment on a sign they see on the wall, talking about a memory they had when they were kids to go bow shooting. This was a actual memory, and it wasn't a false one. This is proven later on in the series by a video I uploaded called Memories, if you want to check that out. Anyway, there's more than one sign. There's actually 3. There's one talking about taking Herobrine to witch school, which, let me clear that up. That sign is supposed to say, take Brine to witch school, by the way. So for any confusion that I know that big error of mine caused in the series, that sign is supposed to say, take Brine to school, not Herobrine. Just to make that clear, one more time. That sign is supposed to say Brine. Anyway, there's another sign also talking about to bring Kaden, which is me, obviously, to become a guard at Dunbar. At this moment in time, some of our characters' memories start to slowly come back. And they also realize they're not in a different dimension. They're in their hometown. See, prior to this, they had no memories of any of this. The only thing they had is very, very faint memories of their childhood. Very, 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 very faint. Our characters were convinced that they were in a different dimension, but in reality, they were just in a different period of time. They went back in time. They went back to 1312. Dr. Ruth is not from 1312. She's from the present day, 2020. So this is really, really, really weird to her. She's losing her shit. Wow, Kid and Sensei is like, you know what? This is our home. Like, calm down, you know? Anyways, Dr. Ruth takes a minute to gather herself and gather her thoughts because she realized she's over 800 years old. And basically everyone she knows and loves is, dead. After that, the group decides to lay low for the night and stay at the old house. But it wasn't very long until they were really interrupted by a very loud explosion outside the house. This obviously sends the group into a huge fucking panic, and, we run. Who wouldn't? And of course, in old, horror movie fashion, we go into a creepy, dark cave. Like, that's gonna do anything good. This cave is a rip in time and space. It is not supposed to be there. This cave is actually one of Herobrine's stopping grounds. Or home, base, temple, whatever you want to call it. I don't care. But it obviously not supposed to be there is going to cause a little bit of trouble in the cosmos. So, us interfering with that, well, you guessed it, put us in danger. And we fell right into his little trap. So the crew notices that the materials in this place are not of, natural occurring, it's obviously not natural. Like, this stuff should not be here. It's not from this world dimension, It's very, very dark, evil stuff. The crew also notices this big pillar with 2 diamonds also suspended from the ceiling. These are what fuel Herobrine's evil, basically. These are his power source. His diamonds are his power, and they have to be guarded. What that thing in the middle is keeping any good entities from entering. So basically what I'm saying is our characters could be basically possessed at any moment, and that tends to happen off and on throughout the series. An example of this would be the jump scares you see throughout the series. The jump scares, the very loud noises out of nowhere. These are all things controlled by Herobrine and evil entities. So trust me, when you see the screen flashing and colors and stuff, or there's a lot of distortion and stuff, something's about to happen. Anyway, let's continue. Sensei ends up finding this really strong enchanted armor. He ends up taking it for himself, and we use the tools that are connected to the armor to bust through the wall. After we did that, we proceeded ahead, and we found this, which is a witchery circle, which is used to teleport around the map. But just before I was beginning to explain what it's used for to my friends, I was really interrupted by the ground starting to shake. Therefore, we got scared and we had to get out of there. After that, our crew is then teleported to the witch school that Brian was held at. Upon arrival to this witch school, our crew notices that this place is very dark and demented. Body parts all over the place, skulls, heads, cauldrons full of blood. It's just not a good place. Caden did not realize his brother was in this situation for so long, and he begins to feel bad about himself. Our friends begin to search around, and they find a classroom. In this classroom, they find a note. This note says, "Dear friends, I've been captured by the witchery school, and I'm scheduled to hang tomorrow as a sacrifice to Herobrine. If you're reading this, please save the universe from this curse. Armin." Now, y'all know who Armin is if you watch the original Haunted. This was just a reference. He actually is dead in the series, but I just thought that was pretty cool. After that, our crew goes back to that same witch circle and proceeds to use it, but this time, they manipulated the circle to their benefit. All the friends proceed to think about a place that could possibly help them, and it actually works. All 3 friends are then teleported to a very interesting monument. This monument has some source of energy, obviously. By seeing all the crystals just levitate, you can tell that it's emitting some kind of energy. Our friends notice this, and they also notice that there's also 4 golden apples on the floor. Caden and Sensei then claim that those were lost golden apples back in school, but when they were kids. More on that later. Our team begins to notice this object in the center of the monument that seems to be emitting most of the energy. They also notice a pressure plate with a blue glow around it. Caden then decides to sacrifice himself for the group and see what happens. He then grabs his golden apple and then proceeds to eat it. He begins to feel very powerful, almost like a god, but it wouldn't be anything close to what he's about to experience. He then steps on the plate, and the whole thing just blows up into a big burst of lightning. Caden begins to be electrocuted profusely, causing him to go berserk and screaming profusely, obviously, because who wouldn't be? After this is done though, he takes a few steps off the plate, and out of nowhere, begins to fly. Our crew is absolutely astonished by this, and Caden proceeds to show the group a secret stash that he's gained knowledge of the whereabouts. Inside this stash holds gear, treasure, and weapons, all specifically for the crew. Now you may be asking, Epic, where did all this gear come from? Well guys, I'm sorry to say, but I have to leave it on a cliffhanger. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, and you're excited for part 2, please leave a like and subscribe. And if you don't mind, hit the bell icon so you'll be notified every single time I upload a new video. Thank you all for watching. Goodbye.